live. So, welcome to episode 3 of Little Life, Big Loss. I'm super excited for my first little guest today. As I explained in episode 1 and episode 2, I shared a lot of my story about losing our little girl Millie, and I wanted to have my first guest be my husband, Millie's dad. And so, I've got Dill on the podcast today, and I guess we're just going to have a conversation around what it was like for a dad to go through baby loss. I really want to talk to him about our journey to becoming pregnant, what it was like for him when we fell pregnant, what it was like to have a pregnant wife. And then, I did really want to share what happens from the male perspective of going through all of that journey and all of those things, and then going through the loss of a baby, because obviously it's very different from the wife, the person who gave birth to the baby, to the person who has to witness it. So welcome, my husband Dylan.
Thank you for having me. I've taken my podcast virginity. I've been asked from some big podcasters, Joe Rogan for example, but you're the lucky first, so
first of many, I'm sure.
Let's rip in.
Okay. So my first question is, who were you before you became Millie's dad? Tell us about you.
Before I became Millie's dad, I was just your average bloke, worked 7 days a week, your husband. Nothing too special about me, I guess.
You're very special. You can actually go back and listen to some previous podcasts that I did on the Evolved Lifestyle about Dillsy's and I's journey to get here, and it's been a big one. It's been a big 4 years. We've certainly been through a lot, and there's been lots of changes and lots of growth and
ups and downs and roller coasters around.
Yep. They're pretty amazing. So can you retell the story of falling pregnant and how you felt when you were told the news? Tell us about our journey to falling pregnant.
So where do I start from? I mean, we were trying a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and then I still remember the day that Millie was conceived.
Wow.
I was out watering the lawn and doing a bit of gurneying, and you came running out, and you said, "Dill, it's go time, let's go." So
I'd been testing my ovulation very, very specifically for quite some time after our long journey to fall pregnant. So
I chucked the gurney down and in I ran. I'm pretty sure that was the one that got the goal past the keeper.
You're hilarious. Okay, definitely hearing from the male perspective.
Yeah, so started there, but we'd been trying for like a couple of months before that, and we weren't having any luck, so it's not like we're expecting it. We were starting the IVF the following month, and then I went away for work, and I think you found out the Monday. I was getting home on Thursday, and we were starting the IVF on the Thursday, and you called me the Wednesday night.
You had gone away because you got offered a large amount of money to work in Canberra for the week, and we were like, great, that's going to pay for IVF. And I'd had my surgery in July, so we were still trying, but thinking, after 2 years of trying, it's not going to happen, so let's go for IVF after this last month. And then, I found it on the Monday, and I was too scared to tell you. I told half my clients first. It's like, I think I'm pregnant. The test says positive, but I just don't believe it. And then I called you, made a little video compilation, and I called you, and you were FaceTiming the boys.
Yeah, it definitely didn't feel real for a while. Even when I got home, it still didn't feel real for a bit. So, that happened then, and then went through all the tests, and obviously you were pregnant, and you didn't have to go down the IVF road.
So we went and saw Dr. Ong up until at the IVF specialist, because obviously he had done my surgery and we'd started the process with him. So we saw him for the first couple of appointments, and then he graduated us, quote unquote, to an obstetrician.
Yep.
I remember driving out to that appointment with Ong before he graduated us, and I was like, I think I feel sick. And Dylan goes to his mum, she's just milking it. And then I just started profusely vomiting, like vomiting, and then all Susie could find in the car was my mother-in-law was a container, and I'm vomiting in the container, and I'm throwing it out the window because we couldn't pull over.
4 lanes of traffic.
And I'm just like vomiting, and then so Dealsy's like videoing me because he thought it was hilarious.
Whilst I was driving.
Very naughty. Vomiting, throwing it out the window, and I was like, now am I milking it? So yeah, I was 10 weeks pregnant at that point, so we got graduated to the obstetrician, and we chose Drew Moffrey at Pindara, and then we started going to him at week 16. So, but yeah, we did do all the tests. We did the NIPS test. We did every scan possible. We really were making sure.
I think I got to a point where I sort of said to you, "Fuck, do we need to do every single one of these?"
And in hindsight, it's funny because it's like, well, you know, yes, we got through the pregnancy stress-free, I would say. You know, there was still little anxieties from me after we had a miscarriage and it took so long to fall pregnant. I was definitely anxious, but I just had to keep reminding myself, I trust my baby and I trust my body. But it is crazy to think that you can do all those tests and everything comes back perfect, and then you go in for labour, you know, at 39 weeks, and you think everything's going to be all fine and dandy. How was it being with a wife who vomited the entire pregnancy?
Oh, yeah, like at the start, it actually wasn't too bad. To be honest, it wasn't too bad the whole time. The vomiting didn't bother me. Like, I got a lot of good footage in the start of it, but by the end of it, like, I was running out of memory on my phone, so
I think you vomited a few times. You were ready to leave me at one point.
That wasn't so much the vomiting, that was more just the hormones that come with pregnancy.
Yeah, it was very, very exhausting being so sick the whole time. Although I asked for it. I was like, I just want to be sick so that I know that it's real. And it's funny because they say, oh, the sicker you are, the better the baby is, and the healthier the baby is. And would that get me? Anyway, so, okay, I want to dive straight into what it was like to be in the theatre during the cesarean. So we had a great pregnancy, 39 weeks. I was very sick. Took us a long time to fall pregnant. We get to theatre. We're 39 weeks. We're going in for a planned Caesar. Talk us through what it was like watching the Caesar from even the beginning of it. You know, we were so happy and so excited to, you know, when everything unfolded.
Yeah, well, I think the last photo of us before we became parents was we're both, I think you're already cut open, and we're both like sitting there like cracking up laughing. And I kind of jumped up to have a look, and I was like, holy shit, like I think that's when your water burst,
my waters,
and
yeah.
like I was just like waterfall, like everything was going on, and I was like, fuck.
You actually yelled out, whoa!
Yeah,
and everyone
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
what?
And then
And we were also laughing because I had the white gloves on and we were pretending we were Nan at the wedding.
And then I obviously first birth didn't know what to expect at all. And then when you started getting worried, I wasn't so much worried. I was sort of just like, yeah, it's fine. And then when you started saying to the OB to like, why are you so confused? Just get her out. And then when you said that, I looked up and he did look confused. And that's sort of when I was in a bit of, not shock, but I was, what's the word for it?
Is that when you maybe thought there might be something wrong?
Yeah. But then once she came out, I was like, oh, she's out now, it's all good. And then they took her, I didn't know that no crying was not normal, and then they took her over to the bed, and there was 6 or 7 people working on her, and I still thought this is probably a bit normal.
I remember you were so beautiful because you were so, and I'll use the word naive, because you were so naive in the situation. I was like screaming, and is she breathing, and is she alive? And you were like, baby, she's here, do you see all her hair? Like, she's here. And you know, even when her bum first came out, and because it was the maternal assisted C-section, I was in the drape, we both were in the drapes, and you were like, yeah, look, she's coming out, and I could feel her bum, and at that point I was excited, like I did think, yes, she is coming out, but once she came out...
As soon as she came out, I thought boom, like where,
Yeah.
like I didn't expect anything.
No.
I thought everything was sweet.
Of course, like why would anyone think not, right? You know, as we said, we only went into the Caesar planned because she was breech, and yeah, we weren't expecting anything to be wrong. And then she got taken over to the resus table, as they call it, and the paediatrician was working on her, and all the nurses.
And then they just sort of grabbed me and we went straight to the.
So what did they say? I don't like. So obviously, I don't really recall when they grabbed you. But I remember them coming over saying, "We're going to take Millie to NICU, with the baby to NICU, and we're going to take your husband with you." Did they tell you first, like, did you want to come with us?
Yeah, I think I sort of said like I'm coming, and they obviously just said, "Yeah, for sure, come straight away." For us. Still not knowing what, if anything, was wrong. I guess.
And at that point, they had said, because I was yelling out, like, "Is she breathing? Is she alive?" And they yelled out, "She's breathing. She has a heartbeat." So we were like, "Amazing, great," you know. And so then they took you up to NICU with Millie, and then we hadn't named her at that point, and then I think they asked you on the way up. When did they ask you what her name was?
Oh, I can't remember. Sort of from like going from there to where they were working on it properly, and there was not hundreds, but stacks of doctors and nurses and not obstetricians, but pediatricians like coming and going. There would have been like, I don't know, 20 different people in that time coming, going, like in the first half hour. 3 pediatricians working on her. And like in the back of my mind, I'm like, shit, where's Shell?
Because at that stage I was still being stitched up. It takes about another 30 minutes to get stitched up, so I was there, and then I had to go back to recovery.
And then I sort of, at the start, because there were so many people around, I just had to sit like 5-10 metres back and just had to just watch everything go on. And I sort of had one lady who was like just a general nurse who was just explaining stuff to me as it was happening. But they were all in the unknown as well. Nobody knew what was happening. So.
And so at that point, all they knew was that she obviously came out floppy. She wasn't crying.
Well, floppy wasn't even spoken about then. The only thing that was spoken about was she hadn't cried, and that there was definitely a broken leg.
Yeah.
And then within the next half hour, they got X-rays in, scans done, and within half an hour they found out 2 broken arms, 2 broken legs. At first, when I heard 1 broken leg, I was like, shit, a broken leg, like that's insane. And then I think I found out before I came back and saw you that it was 2 broken legs, 2 broken arms, and all I could picture was just like taking our little mummified baby home with casts on legs and arms.
Which for me, I was like, that's fine. We can handle that. You know, like every time I got an update on Millie because I was in recovery, I was like, they were like, she has a broken leg. I'm like, I can handle that. And then 2 broken arms, 2 broken legs. Okay, I can handle that. You know what? Like, yeah. And so then probably around that point was when they got me out of recovery and brought me up to the NICU room, which was when we got to hold her little finger. I had like held her little finger at that point, or she held my finger, and then you called your mum.
Yeah.
Talk us through that.
Because I hadn't told Mum that we were going in, so the date was a sort of a surprise for her. So I told her I was working up in Brisbane, and she tried calling me just before we went into theatre, and I messaged her saying, can't answer, doing a walkthrough on the job site, give you a buzz after. So I FaceTimed her, and I was in my scrubs, and she said, where are you? And I said, I'm at the hospital, we just had our baby, little Millie, and I said, we've got some issues though, and Mum is a pretty emotional lady, so kind of hit her straight away. There was a little baby in a thing next to me, and I sort of showed Mum the baby. I said, but that's not her, and then sort of turned around, and there was still like 12 to 15 doctors and nurses working on her then. I think that cut Mum pretty deep.
Dylan's quite a prankster, so she was probably thinking he was, when you showed the first baby and then you're like, no, that's not her, like, showing another one, she was probably thinking, oh, okay,
No,
like,
but
where are you at here?
it hit hard home for her straight away.
Yeah.
She was really looking forward to having a little granddaughter.
Yeah, of course. And I think, I only said it to Sue over the weekend, and, like, it was so shit because for weeks we'd kept it a secret that we had the date planned because we'd planned on calling them when we got back to the room, and you had your little Knights jersey for her, and we'd planned on, like, we'd had this vision of calling Sue and giving her the news when we had Millie back in the room. And so to call her when we're in NICU and not know where we're at, and that be the first, invite, showing Sue's our baby was just like introduction. The first introduction is just like, that's not how it was meant to be.
Yeah.
And Susie is a very emotional person, and I think it affects everyone. Everyone's emotional over this. But yeah, I just think it's a huge shock. And then and I guess because we still didn't know. But I mean, you're first telling someone that they've got 2 broken arms and 2 broken legs, the first thing everyone thinks is, well, what the heck happened to her?
Yeah.
Okay, and so from there, I then got taken out of the room. I got taken back to another room. I don't really know why. And then I think my bed was in the way. Like, they had my big, massive bed in NICU, and I think they just didn't know what was happening with Millie, so they let me meet her. And then they took me back to a room, and at that point, we had the neonatal people come down from Neo Rescue come down from Brisbane to take Millie to Brisbane.
Yeah.
So you were still there then?
I was there then, yeah. I watched her. So they came down, transferred her into an incubator, which was the first and only time that she sort of opened her eyes and looked straight at me. And it was just a quick 1 second, half open and then closed again. And
I love that vision so much.
and we directly just linked eyes, which is something that I'll never forget. I can still picture it right now.
Because you never knew she was going to open her eyes again after that. We didn't know.
I didn't appreciate it as much as I probably should have. And then I jumped in the car straight away, left you behind, and followed her up to Brisbane.
Yeah. So she got rushed up in an ambulance and lights and sirens, and I got taken up in a different ambulance when Dilsey drove the car up. And so we get to Brisbane. You got me some sushi. I've been craving sushi. And then I guess in a nutshell, the following 6 or 7 days, what were the thoughts that you had? Because I do believe we had different thoughts. Like, I know you said that you messaged your cousin straight away on day 1, just saying this doesn't look good.
My biggest factor of her not looking good was what she looked like when she left Pindara Hospital to when we saw her for the first time up in Brisbane, because in her face she looked like a normal baby would have, but by the time we got up to Brisbane, so I'm talking 4 o'clock till 8:30 in the afternoon, I reckon her face swelling from everything they were pumping into her, her face and head, I feel, had doubled in size almost. And I just looked like, when I saw her, I was sort of just like, she doesn't look good. She almost like she had some sort of dysfunction.
Which is just so crazy because, and I look back at photos now or videos, I have so many of them, I look at them all the time and I think, man, I was so naive. I think I just had like rose-coloured glasses on or something. Like, I didn't see what everyone else was seeing. Like, I knew she looked unwell, but I couldn't really remember how tiny she was when she was first born, because I don't remember any of that. And so I don't know, I just,
And because I took so many photos, I had them both compared. I remember laying in bed that night, just looking at the comparison, like flick, and I just like it looked like a different baby. It looked like a complete different baby.
Well,
In a matter of 4 hours.
when the obstetrician came down to see me in recovery, and he said that the paediatrician had gone to him and said, this little baby has 2 broken arms and 2 broken legs, Drew said, you've got the wrong baby. No way. Like, he was just in shock. He said, no. So yeah, it makes sense that she would look different and that you would even think that. So then we went on the roller coaster of 3 days when she was on the cooling mat.
Yeah.
And I guess what were your thoughts? Remember when we had the 3 stages? They said basically she could be stage 1, pretty much no damage. Stage 2, 70% of babies come out okay, 30% come out with ongoing treatment, and then stage 3.
What?
So stage 3 is 50% of babies would end up with cerebral palsy, and the other 50% don't make it and they would pass away.
I was always confident that we would bring her home. Whether that was going to completely change our lives or even our home, whether we'd have to make it wheelchair accessible, whether you never work again, like whether you'd be on like a disability thing, but I was always confident that we would bring her home. I mean, we had no answers, but yeah, I was always confident that at some stage we'd get her home, whether it be a week, whether it be 6 months. I wrote it on the whiteboard. It was checkout date, I think, and I wrote, not sure, but we will be home. So yeah, I was always confident that we would be home. Never in my wildest dreams did I think we'd be coming home without her. But yeah.
So then we got the results on the Tuesday that she had no brain damage. They'd done the MRI. There was bleeding on the brain, but there was no. The EEG came back good. How did you feel, say, the Wednesday when we had basically all the results were coming back good, but they still didn't know what was wrong? We had the good morning on the Wednesday, and then Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, shit went crazy. So,
well, the whole time she was on the cooling mat, I only spent a couple of hours away from her bed. I stayed down there the first 2 nights until I think one of the nurses kicked me out the second night for snoring. Stayed down there, and so I was literally just waiting for that 72-hour mark to find out, bang, what are we playing with?
yeah.
And then got there, she came off, and then they warmed her back up, and still no answers. MRI.
I remember at that point having so much relief though, because I was like, she's not going to die.
We ticked one thing off.
And I was like, I said to them, are you keeping her alive? They said no. And I was like, amazing. That to me was just the worst 3 days, and then just so much relief on that Wednesday morning. They're not keeping her alive. This is fine. Yes, it's going to change our life. Yes, this is what our future's going to look like. But so good.
Yeah.
Our girl's coming home with us. We just don't know when.
Yeah.
And so then that was Wednesday. Meanwhile, in this time, we've had hardly any sleep. We were sleeping on that concrete bed. And then the Wednesday night happened. But yeah, you'd spent a lot of time down there. You read her books, you'd read over her. You were playing the footy, listening to the football.
Yeah, because she was so used to it being in utero.
Yeah.
So yeah, plenty of books, plenty of footy, plenty of music. And then, I guess, got cleared of everything, and then still no idea. So, just up in arms the whole time, really.
And then Wednesday night, you went up to bed, you were tired, you hadn't had sleep for a while, so you were like, I'm going to take a couple of sleeping tablets.
I think it was about 10 o'clock. I went up there, had 2 sleeping tablets, and I think within the next hour you woke me up and we needed to go down there.
Do you remember that? How did that feel?
And it all just happened so quickly. I think we got down there at 10:30. It all just happened so quickly, and then I don't know.
We got down there in about a minute when they called.
Yeah.
You were running up the hallway trying to put your shirt on, and I'm sobbing, yelling out to my midwife, "We've got to go down. Millie's not okay."
And get down there, and every man and his dog was standing around, and everyone was doing stuff, and there was blokes that had been pulled out of bed, like brain surgeons that were in their flip-flop thongs and stuff.
Yeah.
That were working on her, and
They were amazing.
yeah, they were awesome, and just brainstorming on what they could do, because she did have the liquid on her heart,
Especially in Florida and stuff.
and when they contemplated going in with a syringe and taking it out, but too much risk of hitting her heart. And then, what was the other thing they were going to do?
So they said that they.
Oh, they were going to put her on blood thinners and then put her on a heart monitor, but they couldn't. They were going to put her on a heart monitor, but they couldn't put her on a heart monitor because it would thin out her blood, and she still had a bit of blood around the scalp, and if it thinned that out, then it would have gone straight to her brain and killed her.
Yeah. So they couldn't. Yeah, that's exactly right. They didn't want her to bleed out, which they already had the bleed on the skull, not on the brain but on the skull, and then they couldn't go in and get the fluid because they might have hit the heart. And even though they didn't think the fluid was causing her trouble, it was another indicator of what might be wrong.
And that was sort of the final straw. That was their last piece of the puzzle, really. The next morning when the top neonatologist came in, and that was his final piece of the puzzle. Once he saw that, then he said CBG.
Yeah. And then I messaged you, I think, and said they know what's wrong with Millie, you've got to come down here. And I didn't realise at that time, like, you were really hopeful and you thought, oh my gosh, they know what's wrong with her. But I didn't, I had already been given the news that it wasn't good and that they didn't have a cure.
Yeah.
But they did have the answers so that our, future babies can be tested for it. So they took us into a quiet room. Do you remember that?
Yeah, there was about 7 of them.
Yeah. And what went through your head at that time when they were...
Oh, as soon as we started walking down there and I saw the amount of people that were around, like neonatologists, brain specialists, heart specialists, nurses, doctors, genetics team,
beneath your nurse.
then I knew. I knew then. I think we both knew then.
Yeah.
And then took us in the room and advised us to... told us what it was, and just advised us that there's no real way going forward, I guess.
Yeah. So just basically you're going to gently guide us through the last day with her. And I remember you saying to me after that I was saying, no, I can't lose my girl, I can't.
Yeah, I think it was a blur for you, and for me, like I remember, you screaming that out, can't lose my girl, can't turn off her machines, which, I mean, I said to you before, you hear of the stories where people are recommended, more so on older people or people in a coma, they're recommended to turn a machine off, and then they don't, and they have a miraculous recovery, and so that goes through your mind as well. You're like, but what if we don't? So that runs through the back of your mind so much. Like, what if we don't turn it off? What if we don't turn it off? Let's just keep it on. But I think we were so good together. We agreed on so much together without even arguing or even having a little hiccup. We just we knew it was the right thing to do. We knew how much pain she'd been in, how much she'd been through, but still she'd given us all the answers we needed. Like if she did pass any earlier than that, or passed at birth or whatever, we'd still be sitting here twiddling our thumbs, trying to find out what the hell went wrong. So we knew it was the right time. there was a group of 7 professionals that all had the same opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, they're professionals for a reason, so they told us that, and then so we came around
And we'd had such a great experience with them leading up to that. Like, they wanted a cure for Millie. They didn't want her to pass away. They really, really fought for her, and they did everything they could to keep her alive up until that point and keep her out of pain and keep her comfortable. And every time we saw them handling her, they just did it with so much love, and they really loved her. They didn't want that to be the answer for us. And I remember the NICU nurse sitting there, and she just was saying, like, I remember when they said one of the results had come back and it was better than before, and I was like, it was better than before. And she came up and she said, she is better than before, but that's because she almost passed away before. Like, like she just wanted
and
to
because that
reassure me.
Wednesday night they were just putting so much stuff into her, like adrenaline, morphine, just like pumping her with everything to try and get, after she had her fall, just to get her back up to normal again. They were just like, there was all guns blazing. Like there was nurses, I don't even know they use like all these technical terms, but they're like hitting buttons and filling up different things to go into her.
And you went to the toilet, and then you came back and you said like the atmosphere in the room had just gone from chaos to just calm.
Yeah.
And it was because they had stabilised her. Remember that that really amazing doctor that we loved, and he had basically said, what do you guys understand here? And we were like, we don't know. If you don't know, we don't know. And I think at that point he thought, okay, these guys probably have hope, but they also know that they've got no idea we don't know what's going on. And I do truly believe that they stabilised her to give us that last day with her. And then the NICU nurse explained to us, like, if she goes into a cardiac arrest, or if the fluid around her heart gets worse, do you give us permission to revive her? And at that point they were saying, but we're going to have to do compressions, and it's probably going to break her ribs. And so that's where we were at. It was like, we gently guide through this with her in a stable position, or it's going to get really...
Well, at that stage we knew she was going to pass, so we didn't want her to go through any extra pain than she had already gotten through. I mean, she came to this world, she gave us the answers, she made us become parents.
It's just shit. It's like, just the vision of that, like, that last day, and like, imagine if they did have to do compressions and shit on her. Like, it just wasn't fair. She was so sick and so unwell, and she'd been through so much already. Like, it's like, it's just not fair. Not fair on her. Like, fuck, like, I remember you said to me at one point when I kept saying no, that I just didn't want this to be the way it was. And you said, babe, she's had a tube down her throat her entire life. 6 days she's just had a tube down her throat, and like watching them clean all that out, and the poor little thing is just so battle wounded.
Yeah, she was a tough little warrior, that's for sure. She overcome a lot of hurdles, which got her to her 7th day.
Talk us through the last day. How did, like, obviously once we'd come to terms with it, we had that final day with her, which I just feel so blessed that we had. And I have some of the most beautiful videos of the excruciating pain in your face, like the crying of absolute despair.
I think the hardest part is seeing your partner upset.
That's how I feel, like, looking at those videos.
You sort of sit back and you just want to take all the pain yourself. So yeah, definitely the hardest thing is just watching your partner be so broken. So broken because that's all you've ever wanted in life, and how far you've come to get there, and it being taken away from you that quick. I think that's the most. That's the hardest thing. I think that's what got me the most every time I look at you and just how shattered you were. I was just as shattered, but watching your partner go through, and I think you did the same thing with me, watching me be so upset and so
I loved
ripped
how
apart.
vulnerable you were though. Like, you know, I know you said to him at one point, I'm trying to be really strong for Shell, but I love that you were. We made an amazing team. Like, we just have never been so strong ever. It was just so good, but it was also so beautiful to see how broken you were in a sense. Like, it was, you didn't hide anything. You weren't trying to be too strong or too tough, or you never got angry. It was just a beautiful show of vulnerability and emotion from you. And that's what probably broke me the most as well.
Yeah. And then I remember, so Mum and my cousin Beck were coming up that day.
Yeah.
Just for a visit.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember waiting at the lift wait for them to walk through, and just them coming, like, just the lift doors opening and them walking through, and just looking at them and said, yeah, it's not good. It's not good. So, so that didn't go down great.
Susie screamed at that point.
Yeah. I think at that stage they probably thought, I've never really spoken to them about it, but they probably thought that she was gone by then. They didn't know what the lucky hours we had ahead of us all.
Yeah.
The people that were then going to come down, your sister flying. Was your sister already there, or she was?
Because I messaged my sister that morning. I messaged her when everything was going crazy on the Wednesday night, saying, I need you here. And then I was like, everything's going shit, Millie's not good, blah, blah. And then they stabilised her by 2 a.m. So then I messaged her again, all good, false alarm. And then I messaged her again at like 6:30 a.m, I need you here. And at that point we still didn't know, but I just knew I needed my sister.
Yeah.
So Mel had flown in, Beck and Sue had come for a visit. And then
Emily came.
And then once we knew what the news were, then we'll kind of like hold some close friends and more family. And I know Beck came, we didn't know what we were doing, but I know Beck came in and said, do you want Mum and Dad here? Yeah, like her Mum and Dad. And yeah, people just came. The only person I really wanted there, once I called my sister, was Mateo, our friend's little baby, who we'd always told Mateo, you're going to have a girlfriend soon, her name's Miriam.
I wasn't a big fan of that. His parents actually left his pants here one night, and I just said, mate, that is the last time. This was when Shell was pregnant with Millie. And I just said to him that this is the first and last time that you'll be leaving your pants at my place, because it ain't happening when Millie gets here.
So I remember there's a video actually of Dilby having skin to skin with Millie, and there's music playing, and I reached down and I just said, we need Mateo to come up and meet Millie. And so I rang Emily and I said, where's Mateo? She said, he's with his dad. And I said, get him up here. And so Matt and Mateo drove up and they got to meet.
Yeah,
so beautiful.
So yeah, and it's just their Uncle Mark, Auntie Mark come up, and then he couldn't have not written a better script for it, but it couldn't have been more beautiful than it was that day. We had Joey, Christy, and Louise come up
from church.
They were all absolutely amazing through that week, and then weeks on after it.
Yeah, still now the message from me.
Waited around for us that night after we had to do everything, and yeah, we had such an awesome day. Everyone got cuddles, everyone got kisses, everyone got their own little touch, and really got to meet her properly, because we did have visitors come and go beforehand. Most of them had already been up and visited her, but we're never allowed to. It was very strict on washing your hands, don't touch baby, this, that. But once, and only 2 people in the room at a time, we had about 12 in there.
A parent and a guest, so like you plus one or me plus one.
And then so we just had 12 just surrounded the bed, playing nice music. Everyone would come over and have a little pat of her hair and give her a kiss and a little hug. And,
We were the only
As
two that got to hold her.
daunting
at
as
that
it was like as terrible as it was such a beautiful experience.
point. Yeah, I agree. And we had the choice to do different things. So they were offering us at that point, you know, do you want to go to Hummingbird House or do you want to go to your home? But we chose to stay in the hospital.
Yeah.
What we, yeah.
I didn't want to transport her in any sense. I didn't want to make anything more harder on her than it had already been on her. And we sort of, you'd look at me for the answer, and I'd sort of say what I think, and then you'd just be like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
And I think it worked out so well. I mean, each to their own. Some people, when the baby does pass, they're allowed to put them in a pram and take them for a walk. And some people probably would like to do that. But we got to spend our time with Millie. We had 7 days with her. It may have only been in the hospital, but we had our 7 days with her. We spent lots of time with her, lots of cuddles, and we didn't need to try and transport her again and go through everything to just try and get her outside. We were happy doing everything there and sorting it all there. So.
And then I guess, so we had all that
We
beautiful...
weren't going to bring them home to our crazy...
No, they offered to bring the dogs up. Do you want to bring your dogs up? You keep talking about your dogs. We're like, oh no, you do not want our dogs here.
Our dogs would be jumping through beds, ripping out claws, going ham in the hospital.
Crazy dogs. No, but I can see why people do it for sure. Like,
Oh, definitely. But everybody has different circumstances as well. Like some people may have only had an hour or a day, or we had a full week.
Yeah. And so then we got taken from the NICU room with our family and friends up on the bed up to the room.
Yep.
And we had our last little couple of hours with her in there. What's your memories of that? I was going to say what do you like and what do you not like, but what, you know, was there anything that, because I know that I have like some trauma from that part of it, but also some beautiful parts, like there's some really beautiful parts and there's some really hard parts. What was your experience in there?
I felt like once we got up there at that point, I was ready to let her go.
Mm-hmm.
If that, as selfish as that is, as selfish as that sounds, I was ready to let her go because we'd been there for the week. I mean, had to go above and beyond to even just get her up in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And we got and that room felt like our house. Like we were there for 7 days, but it felt like we were there for 7 months.
Yeah.
The days would go quick, but 3 days, like waiting 72 hours for the cooling mat felt like 3 months.
Yeah.
So you just feel like, you're living in there. You weren't eating, so I was eating your hospital food, and then like getting Uber Eats as well. So I put on 6 kilos that weekend. But going back to being up there, like by the time we'd had everyone there, it was a massive draining day. Beautiful, but like it took its toll by the end of it. And then we got up there and I was just ready to let her go. I knew that I had a good feeling that once we took the tubes out, then it wasn't going to be long. I think you sort of were like, it could be an hour, it could be a day, like, we're not sure, but I knew how much she was relying on those tubes. So I thought once we get up there and we do pull them out, it's not going to be long after that, and I think it was only about 3 breaths.
Yeah.
And
Well, we have that video that was maybe a little bit longer now. Our photographer picked up my phone and took this stunning little video, and I just found it in my phone the other night, and it's just so beautiful. She was making a few little noises and a little snore and a little gurgle, and it was so beautiful. It was hard.
But we had sort of worked ourselves up to it through the day, like even when everyone was there and then we went up before we had to come back down and collect her and take her to the room, we went up together to the room, had a quick shower, got changed. I think we fist pumped before we left the room and I said, let's go do this.
Yeah.
And we went down there.
We walked in so strong. I
Super
went up
strong,
and did my makeup and was like,
super
okay.
confident, if
Yeah.
that's even a thing to be at that point.
Yeah.
But
United.
yeah, and just sort of knew that we had this and we had each other's backs and we were doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So, but not a lot of memories from up there. Like I know her colour changed very quickly and that probably wasn't the most pleasant thing to see. I was expecting that. I don't think you were expecting that. But luckily it wasn't the last time we saw her, and when we saw her a couple of days later, she was like a little porcelain doll. Like she was absolutely stunning. Like she was beautiful.
Yeah, so we left her in the hospital on that Thursday night. We had our final moments. We left with all our family and friends, and then we went to the funeral home on the Monday or Tuesday of the following week to see her again. So we just kind of wanted that last vision to be, more at peace vision. Yeah. And so I guess once we got home, it was a roller coaster, huh? It was just like so crazy to think.
Well, yeah, my biggest thing was I didn't want an empty house.
Yeah.
I wanted, and everybody probably takes that differently. Like some people want to just be like secluded and just want to just be just them. But the last thing I was expecting to come home to a house where I'd never have any silence, just crying baby.
Yeah.
But I didn't want it to come home and just be just you and me.
Yeah.
So we're lucky enough to have your sister who drove us home.
Yeah.
And she stayed for another few days after that.
What was it like driving home in the car without the baby?
I think just from the roller coaster day, I was just so completely sick in my guts and just a banging headache as well. Like I don't get headaches, and like I was just like ready to spew. I don't think we ate that whole day.
No. I think they made me eat 2 dry biscuits and an apple juice at one point. Remember, I was like, I couldn't swallow it.
So I was going to drive, and then I don't think your sister or my mum were going to let me. So yeah, it was a long trip, but because we had such great support around us, and they got the baby seat out. It was a surreal feeling. Like it felt like a dream. It did not feel real. It wasn't what we were expecting.
No.
Like,
Not at all.
so yeah, it was just very surreal, I feel.
Even in the hospital, like Pindara, we had paid for the deluxe room. We were going to have this amazing 5-day experience with the baby. We were going to watch TV. We were going to have like unlimited menu service, like all these things. And then we got just fucking sprung into chaos. So we got home. We had a really busy house. We had loads of beautiful people, and
for quite a few weeks. We just had people around, which is what we wanted.
We're from New South Wales, so we had people flying up to see us. We had people fly up for a day or a night and then fly home again.
Shout out to Jess and Jay for listening. Maddie and Ange Brown.
And Hayley Dobos.
Dobos.
She flew up when I was in the hospital, and I FaceTimed her yesterday, and she just said, I just feel so blessed I got to meet Millie. I said, yeah, but you made that happen. You jumped on a plane literally 5 a.m. till 5 p.m.
And the best thing about those sort of people was, like, they didn't really say, like what can we do? What do you want us to do? They were just here. Oh, and the Bennetts. Julie, Craig.
Yeah, they got in the car and drove up.
Yeah, just drove up, surprised us at our front door. And
so they weren't asking what we need, they were just
people just did instead of asked. Like we're super grateful for the people that did ask. Yeah. But when you're in such turmoil and you don't know what you want or what you need, and you do need a shoulder to cry on, or somebody to get your mind off things, or you would need to have a laugh. Yeah. Those sort of people were there. body.
And we didn't know what we needed.
No,
Like,
not at all.
people were even coming in the house and just cleaning. Like, I'd have a cousin just doing a load of washing, or someone would be unpacking the dishwasher, and people didn't say, "Can I unpack your dishwasher?" Because of course I'm going to say, "No, don't do that," whatever. Or, but people just did. One of your mates from like Jolie from Byron's, vacuums the floor, and there was just people doing things around our house, so we could just sit and cry, or sit and laugh, or just whatever, and just be. And we just got to do everything in our own time. And there was times when my sister, myself, and Dylan were sitting on the couch laughing hysterically at the dumbest things. They didn't even make sense, and we were like, "Why are we laughing at this?" But our emotions were so heightened, we were either sobbing or laughing. And yeah, it was so good to have all that around.
I think the Valium controlled a lot of that as well.
Yeah. But so then the doctor gave us a lot of Valium, and I was able to, every time I'd have a Valium, I was able to just sit and deal with shit. Because remember, like, when I was in the hospital, I was getting so many messages, and I just couldn't even deal with my phone. I'd just hand it to Dylan and be like, "Can you deal with this?" I'd have 20 inbox on Messenger and text and this and that. And everyone just so concerned for us, which was so
But
beautiful.
the support, I've said it before, I've said it 1,000 times, but the amount of support from everybody who we got was beyond amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible. Like, it was insane. And the thoughtfulness of people, like, it sort of makes you think, like, are you in yourself, are you a good enough person? Like,
Yeah.
would you go to this extent?
For
Or,
others,
yeah,
if someone else was going through
100%.
this. Yeah.
And you don't know until you experience it, I guess. But yeah, like the support and just
The
everything.
love and the generosity and the thought, the things that people have thought of, and we've loved and we've experienced every single part of thoughtfulness, from people cleaning our house to people walking our dogs, but to the beautiful gifts we've been given. People named Scars after Millie, and we got just amazing presents. And yeah, it's just everyone showing their love in their different ways, or people just coming with their time. But
One
yeah,
special man paid our mortgage for a month,
yeah,
which helped out incredibly. He definitely wouldn't want to be named, but
No.
he just did it out of the soul of his heart. It gave me that extra little bit of time to not have to go back to work. And,
yeah.
people were just incredible.
Yeah, the financial pressure that was taken off us was phenomenal. And, we were given a huge flight and a voucher, which our friends have basically forced us to go on a holiday, which we may or may not have done otherwise. So, just lots of thoughtful things. And the lady from the MARTA said to me today, "Oh, are you going on a holiday?" And I was like, "Well, we're just going to get away. We're only going because we don't have Millie, and I'd much prefer Millie than Mexico, but, I'd rather not be going on this holiday, but we are, and we are grateful for it, and I'm sure it'll be amazing for us." So I just want to ask a couple more questions before we finish up, but
Hit me.
what support
Don't
service...
actually hit me like you do behind the
Shut
cameras.
up. What support services have you used? Obviously, like, I've been using a lot of things post-recovery, for my physical recovery, but is there anything that you've done that's helped you in the grieving process since? Because obviously once Millie's funeral had passed, you went back to work.
Yeah.
Is there any support that you're getting, or that you wish you were getting, or that you need?
I feel like everybody obviously grieves differently. Like, you can sit there all night and watch videos and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit different to that, and it's probably, I don't know, people say it's probably not a good thing,
Yeah.
but I just feel as if I'm keeping busy, then I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen a doctor about a mental health plan. I am in the process of starting to see a psych. I've got my first appointment next Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
I need to get some bloods done before that, but I don't think that you should be afraid to get help if you need it. Like, it's there for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'm probably not great with that sort of stuff, but I'm open to everything.
Yeah.
At times I feel like I'm probably may not need it, but I'm open to it. Like I'm
Yeah.
open to give it a go and see if it does help me. Um, so yeah, like I said, I'm going to give it a go. And,
Yeah.
had a lot of support just from people checking in, just like mates, even some mates you wouldn't expect to hear from. Just give you a buzz or just a message. How's your day today?
Yeah.
Just those little things are supportive. Even just like on Father's Day 2 days ago, the amount of messages I received from people. Just happy Father's Day, Phil, thinking of you today, or just even a thinking of you today. Like I reckon I heard from 40 people on Saturday, just reaching out, showing support, let them you know that they're there for you and they're still thinking of you, because things like this can happen, and you can, like, what's the saying, when the dust settles, like when the dust settles, which is usually like a 2-3 week period, when the dust settles, that like you get back to it, but
everyone goes back to their normal life, and
but that hasn't even sort of happened. Like everybody's constantly still just checking in, see how you're doing, how's Shell doing,
which is so nice, because that's all I kept saying in that first week. Everyone said, what do you need? And I was like, I don't know, but I kept saying I'm so scared for when the dust settles. I was so scared that people would forget about us, or that we would be left on our own. And you know, I suffer from anxiety and depression at the best of times, and so I was really scared.
I got a little Father's Day gift from our little cousins, which was a handmade painted rose and
it's so cute.
a love heart drawn up by them saying, "Happy Father's Day, Millie Rose. We love you, Dylan."
It's so cute.
Which was super, like, going back to the thoughtfulness, like, they've obviously got their own dad and grandpa, but they still think of you going through what you've gone through. So.
I love how much Millie was loved, and I love how much the little cousins, like your little cousins, have just been so divine. My nieces, like, we get messages all the time, like, Mum, I drew pictures today for Millie just so that I could show her I loved her. Like, the innocence of little kids has been so beautiful. We get messages from Dylan's cousin in New Zealand with their little ones, like, sending prayers and talking about Millie. And what did she say the other day? Millie, what did she say? Mummy, you cried a lot when Millie died, and Rochelle cried a lot because Millie was her baby, but she's in heaven with Jesus now, and she's not going to get birthday presents anymore, but she gets to be with Jesus. I was like, oh my God, my heart, like, what a divine little child. And so I think we can take a leaf out of every little kid's book, right? So I think we can finish up soon, but I think what I would like to ask, 2 more questions. What do you fear most now?
In the sense of going through another pregnancy, or?
Yeah, I just think life in general, but yeah, pregnancy, family, us, everything.
I don't think we have an issue as far as I think something like this can tear people apart, but I feel like it's only brought us closer, for sure. I haven't really thought about what I fear. I think my biggest fear is your fear, if that makes sense. Like, I think when we, like, we'll obviously go down the IVF path, get embryos tested, I feel as if that's all going to be alright. I fear what you are going to feel going. I think your next pregnancy will be alright, but going into theatre the next time. And that's my biggest fear, is your fear for that, for sure. I've thought about it numerous times, and that's definitely my biggest fear.
Yeah, I'm definitely scared of that, for sure. So
and it's 100% like not acceptable, but valid, for sure, definitely 100% valid, because I mean, we were so didn't even pass our minds last time, and we were so, I wouldn't even say confident, you're just unaware. And So, but this time we're going to be very aware.
Mm-hmm. We have a very, very capable team looking after us, and everyone will be aware. The whole team, the doctors, the paediatricians, everyone, and I'm sure they'll take really good care of us to make sure it all goes
And we'll look back at it and say, we're fine.
Yeah.
We'll be anxious and worried, but Millie's got our back, and we'll get through it all. We'll bring a little bundle of joy home eventually, little Dylan Jr.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's good. It's just added a bit longer onto our road, but there will be a time that comes where it all happens, and we've got the room set up already.
We've got everything.
Yeah.
Everything. We've got 5 carriers. That's a bit obsessed. Alright. Well, I think we could wrap it up there, but thank you for being my first guest. Is there anything that you would like to say if somebody's listening that perhaps they're wanting to support somebody through this journey? I think everything we've shared has been so good in terms of, what things we found really useful and what we, loved about the support and stuff like that. But I guess is there anything else, like say someone's listening to this and they've just lost their child and it's a dad, is there anything you want to say?
So give some advice to somebody that's gone through this?
Like they're in the trenches, it's like first week.
I mean, it's hard, you can't even describe it, so it's hard to give advice, but I just say just be there for your partner at least, number one. Say stay positive, even expect the worst, but stay positive. Just
I think like you said, be there for your partner, like the teamwork for us was probably the most admirable thing on our, we never expected to go through it. It's something that could tear 2 people apart big time, during and after, but we so good at communicating. Everything was just like, I didn't know the answer, I'd look at you, you didn't know the answer, you look at me, or vice versa, and one of us would give a comment and the other one would be like, yeah, like.
And another thing is, like, a lot of people can get angry in these situations. There's no, anger doesn't solve anything. Just I'm talking to your partner, to the cleaner in the hospital, all the nurses and stuff. Like, I spent a lot of hours down with, I've made a couple of special bonds with some of the nurses down there, and just like some parents going through similar situations, like yell at them, get abusive at them, tell them they're not doing this right. Like they know what they're doing. Just like everybody around you, you don't know what the person down the corridor walking past you is going through. Just be kind. I remember I got stuck in not stuck, but I was in one of the lunchrooms that were in there, and I got chatting to a lady, and I just said like, how's your little one traveling? She's like, yeah, good. Like 4 weeks preemie or something, but like starting to breastfeed and is going good. And I sort of like thought, far out, I wish that was my name. And I was like, I just said, oh, that's so good, like stoked for you. And she sort of asked how yours going. I said, oh, we don't really know, but definitely just be kind. Be kind of them. We don't know what each and every person's going through. And the other thing I noticed a lot is as well, like when I'd go for a walk from the hospital, you'd walk down the street and literally you'd look around and you'd just think, you don't know what I'm going through, you don't know what I'm going through, you don't know what I'm going through, but everybody's day is just, they're normal. There's Joe Bloggs walking down in his suit with his briefcase, going to do $100,000 change on the stock market or some shit, or there's old mate in his flannel and his ripped jeans, he's going to lay some bricks, but you feel like your world has stopped, but the world just keeps on spinning.
Even when we were at the football the other week, and I was walking around, and in my head I was just like, they don't know my baby's died. They don't know my baby's died. And I was just like, I just wanted to scream it, like, why is everyone happy, or why is everyone normal, or but then I also think now I look at people and go, I don't know if they've had the same thing. They might have had this, and it's like, we just don't know what anyone else is going through. So,
and you do, going through this, you do learn more about
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dalsy.
Nice doing business with
I
you.
was going to give you a kiss, but you give me a handshake. You're a silly sugar.
For those only listening, that was on the cheek.
So, yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. I hope you really enjoyed hearing our little story of Millie. Dilsey told me to keep my podcast short for the first one, and he's just gone an hour and 5 minutes, so we can shut now. But thank you for listening. We love you guys. I really hope this has helped hearing from, a husband's perspective. I do hope to interview more dads who are going through this. I just think it's such a powerful space to be in, and I look forward to interviewing mums on their own or dads or together. But yeah, we love you.
Ciao.
See ya.